Dr. Larry, let's talk about after 15 days, maybe even in self-quarantine. Can people start going out after 15 days? Is that safe?
Well, it depends what you mean by 15 days. Is it someone who is exposed and has a high risk to develop corona, and so they're home isolating, trying to not give that to anybody else? Or is this just somebody who's been at home for a couple weeks, hasn't had any exposure, and if they go out, potentially could be running into other people that have it? So, I guess which
Let me let me take the tack that it's someone who may or may not have been exposed, has been self-quarantining for 14 days, no symptoms. Are they good to go?
Again, good to go. I would say the chance that they have something that they're going to transmit out to other people, that they're contagious, is very, very low. So I think from that standpoint, it probably would be okay for them to go out. The other side of that, though, is when they go out, they may potentially, depending on where they go and who they come into contact with, potentially could get exposed, to the virus. I wouldn't, in general, we're still staying home, right? The home quarantine is still what we're doing, social distancing, to try to flatten that curve and to limit the spread of this virus. So I think that's the right thing to do. But I still wouldn't freak out. So the essential things, yeah, you can come out and do it. We're not at the place where we're going to restaurants, we're going out to dinner, and we're doing all that stuff again. But those are my thoughts on that one.
Let's talk about some frontline people who are probably dealing with this more so than most: essential workers, nurses, daycare workers, yourself, doctors. What preventive measures are you doing to protect yourself and your family that you're going home to at night?
Yeah. So the main thing that we do at the hospital is in the ER is we screen every single person when they show up. We have one person that goes, wears protective personal protective equipment, that PPE. They go up and they ask them the questions: have you been exposed to anybody that you know has coronavirus? Do you have cough, fever, flu-like symptoms, body aches, this kind of stuff? The people that are high risk for that, we immediately either send them back to their car to isolate in their car if they're not sick, or if they're sick enough and we need to attend to them more immediately, we put them in an isolation room, and then everybody that goes in and out of that room wears protective equipment to really minimize and limit that exposure. And so it's a matter of getting really specific on who do we think is sick and what risk do they have for coronavirus, and then isolating them appropriately.